There's a lot of high achieving real estate agents that are sacrificing a lot just to be on top. They're great people. They have great service, great marketing. The problem is they're still doing everything themselves. They're thinking of the business from a salesman's mindset versus a business owner's mindset. A salesman is going to just work harder. A business owner is going to hire and scale and put in systems. The model that's taught today is a salesman's model and not actually a scalable business model. You work your butt off, you get clients, they love you, they refer their friends, and you get more clients. Then you get more clients, and there's a point where you cannot service the level of service that got you there, no longer is there. You're cutting corners because you're trying to do it all yourself. So the solution is you gotta hire help. The model I'm gonna show you today is all about how to put an assistant in, put in creative automated marketing, raise your client experience, put in an amazing after the sale system, and actually run it as a leader versus a salesman. The dream is that you could take off, your business grows, you come back and you made money. This is the game. So this is what I call the broke real estate model, or another way to say it is the traditional real estate model. So here's how it all begins. You start your career and you literally have no clients and you're rock and roll, or you're restarting your career and you look and you're like, okay, it's gonna take 90 days to fill your pipeline, because even when you meet someone, it takes time to show them properties and it takes time to do offers and all that process till you get the keys, till you get paid. So there's a hustle that has to happen at the beginning. So you're doing open houses, agent to agent referrals, networking, online leads, you're banging out lead gen, you're door knocking. Man, you don't miss a follow-up. Then you're talking to strangers at coffee shops, at marketing events, your social media, you're DMing everyone, joining Facebook groups, all the things you're doing. And what happens is the results start showing up and you start filling up this bucket and you're getting this pipeline full, and all of a sudden you got a lot of prospects just sitting there. The cool thing that happens in the next step is what gets very exciting. These prospects and all the work that you've done to fill that bucket is moving over to a bucket we call servicing your clients. That takes about 60 days. From the time you start showing properties to the time that you actually get paid. Now you're sitting there, but your focus is split, because now your prospecting is dropping because you're servicing your clients. But when you're servicing your clients, everyone celebrates that like crazy. Hey, how busy are you? Oh man, I've got all these clients I'm working with, and everyone thinks you're successful. The problem is the 90-day delay is happening on your prospecting. What's happening is maybe you might do an open house, you might call some online leads, you might do a little networking, but your follow-up slipping. You're not talking to strangers anymore because you're busy. You've got a client or two. You're not door knocking and things or whatever. All this effort that you put in when you didn't have any clients drops immediately. This is where the real estate model that's being taught today starts breaking right away, because now you have two jobs. One, you got to still keep prospecting, and two, you've got to service the client, which is all the paperwork and all the showing bookings and all the offers and negotiations, as well as making sure those leads are coming in. So energy splits in half. You're showing up every day just a little down on energy. You're still doing a good job, but you're down on energy. This is where it begins breaking. So what happens next is all the clients that you were serving now start closing deals. You're getting paid. Things feel amazing. This is kind of an illusion because you've got all this money in the bank, but you've also got this new bucket called past clients. The past clients, you want them there for 20 years. You got to nurture these guys. You got to stay in relationship with these people, but you can't, because you look over at your whiteboard and guess what? You don't have any active clients, or you got low active clients. So then you go look over at your prospecting funnel, your other bucket, and it's empty. And all these leads that were sitting there that were supposed to be nurtured weren't getting nurtured because you can't, because you're an amazing service agent and you've blown their minds. Now they become past clients, but you're now start forgetting about the past clients. You got no time to build out the systems, and you got to focus everything you got back to prospecting. So now you're going back. Now here's the crazy thing is now you have three jobs. One, prospect. Two, servicing clients, getting them their house. And three, running an aftercare system. Now you're sitting on running out of energy. Now you're showing up. This is where it gets a little bit crazy, because now you have to actually go back to prospecting when really you should be stepping back and scaling. So this can go on for a while. You're up late at night. You're using your evenings and weekends. You're trying to do it all yourself. And you have this sense of guilt because there's clients that loved you. And it's been a year, 6 months, 2 years. You haven't touched base with them. So they're going to feel like, was this more about the commission or was it really about this relationship? And you almost want to tell them, no, it was real. I'm just busy. But they don't understand that. So you got to look at this way, is you're sitting there with no energy. You got low prospecting. You got low clients on your list and you haven't taken care of your past clients. So right now, leadership wise, mindset wise, it's not in the best place. This is where people start flirting with burnout. Now, the crazy thing is that happens is what happens next. This is where people start falling out of love for the business. They start feeling burnout. They start saying buyers are liars and stuff like that. And you start getting a chip on your shoulder with other agents and you're just not in the best place because here's the thing. You didn't scale. You didn't put in systems. You didn't have an assistant. You didn't have the things that actually start getting you to build an actual sustainable business. You're just focused as a salesperson, and that salesperson has to go back and to the grind at the beginning. And I'm telling you, the grind at the beginning should be done once because it sucks. So guess what? You got to go back to the beginning, smashing open houses every single weekend. You're asking everyone for business again. You know, you're trying everything. You're back to online leads and door knocking and following up and you're just crushing, but you actually don't have the same energy as you did at the beginning because you've played with some money. Sean was in this exact position when he came to us a few years ago. He was burnt out. He was doing it all himself. He was actually a really good agent and he had some really big years, but he was coming on a real low down year and he just needed help. So what we did was we focused him just on first the prospecting, get that full. Because you know what? You want to do that once. You don't want to do it again. So he did an amazing job filling it up and then instantly hired an assistant and started focusing on building his aftercare systems. Now, today, he actually has 20 to 30 hours a week extra because he took a job with the national brokerage that he works for as a major part of the leadership team. Well, his business is growing and it doubled and tripled while he was in our program. He's got a buyer's agent, he's got 2 assistants, and the business runs and he has all this extra time to do these things that he wants to do, which is be in leadership with the national brokerage he's with. So Sean treating it like a business by actually putting in the right systems. He'll never have to feast and famine again. The business runs and he gets to do what he wants, when he wants, and he's making more money than he's ever made before, ever. And he still has time. So the traditional real estate model leads you to restart or it breaks when you get busy. So that's a real problem. Unless you want to stay at $100,000 a year, then it's a good model. Then you just work, you have a few clients, and that's cool. But if you actually want to build a business at 500,000, make $1 million, maybe even 2 million, you got to change your thinking from salesman to business owner. It's a lot like running a restaurant. Imagine the restaurant owner doing the cooking, the cleaning, the dishes, the serving, the taxes, the leases, everything to do with the business is on that one single restaurant owner. What would you say to that guy? You'd probably just say you're an idiot and you're going to fail. That's literally how the traditional real estate model works. You just do it all yourself and work hard. And even when you have a coach, the coach is like, you just need to sell more properties. It's not the answer. You got to actually have something that can run without you. So like a restaurant, it seems insane to run a real estate business all by yourself, doing everything yourself. It literally will not grow. So by taking the idea of running a restaurant means that you're going to need systems, team, and operations. So this is actually what I call the scaled $1 million real estate model. So let's take a look at this. So you got still the same 4 buckets. You got prospecting, servicing your clients. You got your past client bucket, and you got your bucket on mindset, leadership, and management. The thing is though, this is different because by building it out right, biggest thing we're going to be looking at is called the part-time transaction assistant. This person here is going to be helping you process the actual deals. They're going to be doing booking showings. They're going to be communicating with your clients. They're going to have deal flow emails. They're going to be running the systems that are actually going to make your client experience 10x, cause you to focus only on the client versus all of the different things that are happening around the deal. Those are now off your plate, which buys you 10, 15, 20 hours to actually service your clients at the highest level or lead your team or prospect or go fishing. I don't care. You just get more time. And this is the actual catalyst to the whole system is you need a helper to run those deals. The thing is though, the second assistant that you're going to need is the part-time assistant that does all of your after the sale systems. Now, both these assistants will become implementers. What that means is how many ideas do you have sitting on the shelf that could be an absolute home run marketing plan or a home run system, but you just don't have the time to implement it. All you need to do is get your assistant to implement these ideas. So now you're actually growing. You're not sitting on the sidelines with ideas that could be million-dollar ideas. They're actually implementing and testing and trying them. So now with this system here, you've got 2 people taking care of these buckets. Now, because of that, what you get, your past client bucket, it doesn't leak. So now, every time you get a new client, did you know that every client will probably refer you twice and move twice? And that's like 4 to 5 deals per client. So it's like a 5-for-1 deal. You just need to keep them nurtured and keep the relationship. That's done by systems. That's done by 90-day magnet. That's done by the red carpet. That's done by the Christmas in July, the client feedback survey, the client events. There's different things that you just plug into the business and they run. But guess what? You're not actually doing them. The assistant runs all those things, does everything, so you can actually take care of it. By doing that, here's the coolest thing ever. You take a look at the bucket that says past clients. It becomes a pipeline. It goes back to actually fill your prospecting bucket with referrals. And this is what happens is that if you keep your clients and focus on keeping your clients and having a system that runs keeping your clients, it becomes your actual lead gen because you always have referrals. Think about it. If you had 200 deals in your life so far at a 10% referral rate, which honestly is super low, that's 20 deals before you even spend $1 on marketing. That's the whole new model, is that keeping your clients is 10 times more important than landing a new client. So now you've got this business that's actually starting each year with 20 to 30 deals. Now, how do you do this? You want to get out of prospecting. So what you do is that's when you bring in a couple agents. I don't believe in a big team. I just think if you're a mega team, I wonder about your profit and time and lifestyle, to be honest. What I'm looking at is having a lean, mean, high profit machine where you have high profit. So that means if you make $1 million GCI and then you take home 600,000 or 700,000, that's a pretty damn good business. But there's a lot of businesses out there that make $1 million GCI and it costs them $800,000 or $900,000 to get it. The crazy thing is, those are the guys sitting on the stages. The whole industry celebrates GCI. We don't want to do that. We want to celebrate net profit by having referrals constantly stacking. The ROI on a referral is free. You don't have to pay to acquire that client. You're not paying for lead gen or anything. So your actual profit goes up with this system. It's critical to get your assistant before you get an actual buyer's agent or a team member to start selling for you. Because if you get a team member too early, what happens is your sales go up, your admin goes up, the time you become a manager, you do more paperwork, it just becomes a nightmare. You need to have your administrative infrastructure in place, or at least some of it in place, before you start bringing on salespeople, because you'll break faster that way. I know the industry says, don't get an assistant, get a buyer's agent. It's terrible advice. So what you have now in this model is you have a lead gen coming in from your referrals every year. You have a couple agents out there selling for you, and you have 2 part-time assistants. Now, what you actually get now is time. You're probably getting 20 to 30 hours a week more in your life. Guess what you're doing? Hobbies come back. Time with your family's richer. Date nights, weekends, evenings, travel. These are the reasons why you became an agent. It wasn't to get GCI. It wasn't to make money. It was the money was meant for something, because you want to ride horses, because you want a weekend away. You want to take 3 or 4 holidays. So what this does is it actually gives you the opportunity to build the life that you want, not just to have a business that makes a ton of money, which is obviously really good. And most of the people that do build this, they double and triple, quadruple their business, but it's never the goal. The goal is, what do you want out of your life? Let's figure out how much that costs, and let's go build a business to serve that. For example, Jimmy. Jimmy's been in our world for over 4 years, still in our world. What's interesting was he was actually doing everything himself. He was doing the traditional model, but he started putting in these systems. He started thinking like a business owner versus just being a salesperson. And today he's crafted this business, and it's Fridays off, weekends off. He's got an assistant. He's got the team member making sales for him. And he's actually traveling more than he's ever had. And he's making an amazing income. Could he make more money? I think he could if he would spend more time in his business, but he doesn't want to. He's got a thing working for him. He has an amazing life. And that's really the goal. So Tyler, he was a top agent in Edmonton and doing everything himself. He got one of my emails that said, hey, you need to learn how to hire an assistant. And he leaned in. He joined the program. First thing was get the assistant. And then the assistant started putting in all the systems. And He's still with us today, and it's been, I don't know, 3 years, but this is the crazy thing. This last year, he spent almost the entire summer at his lake house, and he's having the biggest year yet, more income than he's ever made. Remember, he was successful already because he has the business running without him. So he can focus on client service. His mental energy is always high because he's had so much time off and he gets into his family in the lake house. So when he's meeting clients, the clients feel that. Tyler's an amazing guy. I love Tyler, and he's just such a great story. I actually think of Norm. He's actually living in Mexico 6 months of the year right now. He actually did it. He's got one of the top teams in the entire city while he still is living in Mexico. And this is only possible because it's an actual business. If he was the salesman on the job, you couldn't do these things. You need systems. He's got an assistant. He's got operations. And he got really, really clear on what he actually wanted his business to do for him, which was to pay for an amazing life. When it comes to building a team, we do have some agents that say, I'm not interested in a team. And the thing is, I remember Renee coming to us saying the same thing, but today she has one of the top teams in the city. The thing was, though, the version of the teams that are out there today are not what we're talking about. Most teams out there are, I'll pay for a lead gen and you can use my signs and my name, now go. And it's chaos. Renee built something different. She has so much culture on her team. She built it exactly the way she wanted to, not the way that others were building. Renee's real goal was actually so she could holiday more, not so she could be the top agent, but she's both now. So I think of Todd and Tasha when it comes to teams as well. They had tried multiple times on putting team members together and they just would leave and they wouldn't stick and they wouldn't get the results. And so when they came to my conference and they came back to me and they says, Ben, I realized that we did not treat this like a business. We are two salespeople. We're out there grinding and we're not giving the attention to the actual business. Over a couple of years, they put in the systems. They eliminated so much of the traditional marketing, saving a ton on budget. And they actually put the team members into the actual system. That was the mistake, is that they just hired the team member and they would just think, go sell, sell, sell. But now they get plugged into the actual system. They get all the benefits of the assistants. They get the benefits of all the systems. And the team loves it. They're fully supported now, and they're usually the top 1 or 2 teams every single month now. And you know what? It's crazy. They bought a massive motorhome, and now they're traveling all over the place. Every time I look, I'm like, where are you guys now? They're in some other city, and they're having an amazing life. Their business runs without them, and it actually grows now because they got their team together. They got the right admin systems, and they're also becoming incredible leaders. Now you're starting to see the traditional real estate model, which is kind of that salesman, hustler mentality, compared to the business owner model, where you have more of a leadership and team mentality with systems. What I'm going to show you now is how we take an agent from where they're at to a fully scaled business. I'm going to show you everything and exactly how we do that right now. So there's 3 things. You need a plan, tools, and you need to know how to get help. After coaching for almost 2 decades, the one thing that falls short in coaching is that you can teach the agent, you can coach them, and it's always exciting to have calls, but they just don't have the time to put in the systems and execute on the coaching. That's where it falls short. So the thing is, it's just overwhelming. And so what we do is we do every single thing in a 60-day sprint. Just enough time for them not to get bored, and simple enough that's an achievable goal to put in 1 system, maybe 2. So if you think about it, how many systems are getting put in every year by real estate agents? Probably 1, 2, but they're obviously not managed, they fall apart. But what if they put in 1 system a month? That would be 12 systems. And even 2 to 3 years of coaching, 25 systems, 35 systems. Now you have a fully built business. We find within a year, you can do 5 years worth of business development by looking at small incremental steps versus this massive build that we're building. So we build it out in 60-day sprints. We found that you need 2 coaches, not 1. You have one-on-one coaching with a head coach. What that means is these are coaches that have executed at least 90, probably 95% of our systems, that have fully scaled, but their metric of success is about free time. It's about when their business grows while they're away. This is not just a coach that has a massive sales success. See, these coaches that are coaching, that are great salesmen, they always tell agents to sell more to solve their problems. But as we've already established, that just leads to a broken business because you simply don't have time to service, prospect, and take care of the aftercare. So we need to solve on time and freedom. So these coaches, they focus on every 60 days, what is the 1 or 2 constraints that are stopping you from growth? Maybe it's hiring an assistant. Maybe it's a re-engagement of your base. Maybe it's a CRM problem. Maybe it's a marketing problem. Maybe it's an energy issue. But whatever that is, we focus everything we can on 1 or 2 things every 60 days. The second one-on-one coach is an implementation coach. Now, this is the hack. Their singular job is to find out where you're stuck, spend 30 minutes on solving that problem. Like whether you haven't put an ad out to hire the assistant, they'll write the ad with you on the call. If it's, I haven't ordered a red carpet or I haven't done this mail out, they literally work with you on the call, get you over that stuck spot and actually execute on the system. So every 2 weeks, 30 minutes of work time with an implementation coach to do the job with you. So the third thing is that once you hire an assistant, there's a huge learning gap on how to train them and how to guide them. This is why we have an assistant head coach. 2 times a month, we have a dedicated coach to coach your assistant. The cool thing is though, there's like 50 to 100 assistants. So what happens is it becomes an incredible mastermind. So you can skip a whole bunch of steps and you can learn a ton from each other, and we facilitate that as well. What we realize is it definitely takes more than a one-to-one coach. It takes a team. So now that you've got your team around you supporting you with your plan to build out your business, here's the tools that kind of go with it. So Wednesdays is group coaching. Okay, that's 3 times a month. Now, group coaching can really suck because if you're in a room with someone talking about something that does not apply to you, you're sitting there waiting for an hour, wasting your time. And so what we've done, we've solved that. Here's how we solved it. Nobody gets into our program unless they're pushing at minimum $200,000 a year GCI. We have a group of people that are just focused on scaling, hiring, management, systems, and building a life they love. It becomes a very rich group where anyone that talks is going to apply to you. I know that we give the team and dedicated coaching, but you have access to all the coaches. So we'll have a mindset room, we'll have a hiring room, we'll have a systems and operation room, we'll have a marketing room. So you'll have a small group of people even talking even more detailed about exactly where you're at. This is people trying to build a life. Everyone has family values. Everyone wants to build a life and a business that serves that life. So inside these rooms, everyone is helping each other. So the group coaching session is, yes, you get advice and coaching, but you also get the mastermind effect as well from some of the most successful agents in the country. So a lot of coaching programs, you see the guy, the face of the business, but you actually never get to talk to that person. We didn't want to build a business that way. So what we've done is solve that by Friday, 1 time a month, is drop in with Ben. What that means is I'll sit on the computer on Zoom for 3 hours. People come and go, they can jump in. Some people stay the whole time and watch me unpack everybody's stuff and they learn the whole time. We've got people that do that. Other people that are super busy, they show up for 15 minutes. They can put it in the chat and say, hey, look, I'm busy. I just have a question directly for Ben. We put them right to the top of the list, coach them for 15 minutes, and they're on their way. But there's access to me. So another one of the tools is our systems library. We have everything that you need to scale your business from sales to systems, to hiring, to leadership, management. It's all in there, pre-built PDF training, literally plug it into your business and go. So what we do is according to your 60-day plan, we'll give you 2 or 3 things to look at. So you don't got to go through the whole library and try to figure it all out. We know that the agents we work with are just too busy to execute on these things. So we actually go to your assistant and say, this is the system. Coach the assistant to actually become your executor. This is the ultimate hack of why we're seeing so many agents fully scale, because that assistant is trained on our systems and then they actually support you and put in these systems and they'll know how to run the systems. So we started a podcast just for our students. It's an internal podcast. What it is all the different clips during coaching sessions that aren't personal, that are very tactical. For example, let's say someone needed to fire an assistant. And I worked through the whole process with them and we unpacked it, gave some strategy, and they walked away with a really, really good plan. And that's about a 15-minute clip. That becomes an episode. And the title would have Firing an Assistant. What that does is that actually gives all of our students the ability to search in the podcast any topic that we've talked about in any coaching session and get 3 or 4 different angles of me actually coaching on those things. Because we already know that the agents that work with us are busy and they're gonna miss some coaching sessions, which is totally fine. But they never have to miss those amazing moments during coaching that happen because we clip those, put it on the podcast. So the last thing is, how do you get help? Well, we have a Facebook group where all the members are. Anytime you have a question, you can type in the question and the entire tribe helps you. So you've got this mastermind effect in there. All of our admin team, all of the concierge people, everyone's there. So anytime you need help, you post it on Facebook, but that's sometimes not enough and you need to level it up a little bit. So you can text our office or call us directly. The other thing is Wednesday you get help. Friday you can get help. Your one-to-one sessions you get help, and the implementation coach. So there's never a place where you're ever invisible. One thing we know, that drifting away is something that we're going to see. So that's like missing 3 or 4 sessions, maybe not showing up to a coaching session. And we know that it's just human nature. And it's also the nature of having a highly successful business, highly successful people inside the program. They're busy. Getting help is extremely serious to us. Our entire team knows where every single one of our students are. And sometimes we got to go chase someone down, and that's fine with us. We just do not believe of someone fading away in our program. This is one of our biggest commitments, is that nobody's left behind. Everybody gets results. Now you understand what it takes to take an agent from where they're at to a fully skilled business, all the tools and all the pieces. I'm going to show you exactly how we actually start with an agent and what we do to get them going. The first thing we need to do is set the compass. You got to figure out what makes you tick. Because if you want to make an extra 100 grand or 200 grand, that goal is very empty if it doesn't get connected to meaning. For example, let's say I've always wanted to go to, England for a month. Well, that's a different goal than saying I want to make 100 grand. Or, you know what? I've always wanted to learn piano. Cool. Or I've always wanted to go work at an orphanage. I want to volunteer and speak to troubled youth. Like, there's other things that are inside you that has to be connected to your business. Chasing the money is not a strong enough goal to get you through the shitty days that you have in business. The days that you lose a client or things aren't working, there has to be something else that's driving you. So that's called set your compass. We got to find that. When it comes to setting your compass, I think about Lindsay and Kelsey. It's a beautiful couple. They're homeschooling their kids. They both got into real estate. They changed their careers together and they started tearing it up year one. It was just impressive numbers they were putting together year one. I think they did like 30 sales, in their first year. They were so busy and so like, how are we going to have these kids educated on their own? How are we going to do all these things? It was really about not the money. It was about how do we build a real estate business to serve the ability to homeschool the kids, to travel, and they're involved in their church. And they're very busy in so many things. But what's so cool is that they ended up hiring the assistant. They executed quickly. That's what they do. They instantly started seeing immediate growth because they were way better off in front of people, talking to people and serving them than they were sitting doing paperwork and launching marketing. I remember one day, her first assistant, they're like, yeah, we're doing great. And I'm like, there is so much more work you need. 911, hire your second assistant. Changed everything. The funny thing is they doubled their business again, but they did it without adding time. I think they just spent like a month away and their business ran. It's absolutely incredible stories. The thing is though, they needed the second assistant to get to where they wanted to go. So not only did they set their compass that they hired, but the combination, they didn't even put in all the systems that they needed to put into, and they're already seeing the growth. It's not like you need 100 systems. Sometimes it's 5 or 6 systems that cause massive changes, and that's what happened to them. So the second thing is to set your fuel. So like a race car, like an Indy car going around the track, it's in first place and it's going. It still has to stop in a pit stop to change the tires and refuel. And so here's the thing, agents are the same. They work every day, all night. If we don't set your fuel, you will not perform at the level you need to hit the goals that you want to hit. Well, how good are you when you're at a 4 out of 10 energy? Usually people don't execute. They start scrolling more. Someone walks down the street that's a friend. You're like, oh, I don't want to talk to them. In contrast, if you're a 10 out of 10 energy, you'll talk to your friend, go, oh, John, how you doing? Walk over there, shake the hand, big hugs, and you'll jump on calls. Don't worry about being rejected, and you'll launch ideas. You'll execute better. The two contrasts are massive. So it doesn't matter how many systems or coaching. If you don't have the energy, you will not execute. So we need to set your fuel. What is it that makes you absolutely happy? Is it a vacation every 2 months? We need to set that up. Is it that you play hockey? Is it that you get back into badminton, or maybe you want to do photography or singing lessons? Something in your life has to become priority so you can have an amazing energy, so you can do the hard work that it takes to build a company. So again, this isn't even about business yet, but we're getting you ready for the journey. So the third thing is you got to hire. So when you hire an assistant, this person is going to be connected to everything in your business. You cannot scale a company without first hiring. Here's the thing though, it's really hard the first time. Once you get through this first part, the second, third, fourth hire, so easy. It's so easy. Like Corey. Remember Corey, when it took him 6 months to actually post the ad. And so what happens is, we always wondered why it's so hard, is because you're not dealing with hiring, you're dealing with money, relationship with money. You're dealing with an accountability partner in your business that's going to be close-up look to your own chaos. Then you're going to have to tell someone what to do. How do you do that? Like, there's so much involved. Then you got to train them. And what if they don't do a good job? There's probably 30 objections, all emotional. And so that's why hiring an assistant is actually personal growth. This is when you truly see the agent shift from being that do it all yourself, which is kind of a poverty mentality, to a wealth mentality of going, oh my goodness, I can buy people's time. So there's a whole process. Emotionally, you get a huge win because you'll shift and you'll realize, oh my goodness, I was thinking so small. And you see the shift over and over again. I remember Corey, he took 6 months to even just get to the point of putting an ad in. I had to tell him, put an ad in, but don't answer the ad. And he goes, okay, I'll do it. And he did it. But he had all these great applications come in, and he started actually calling the people. He ended up hiring. And it was funny because he let me listen in on an interview, and it was terrible. But it still moved him forward. He ended up finding the assistant, and it changed his life. He's one of the top agents in the city. He's doubled his income twice. And now he's living at a high income, and he's got an amazing life. He's got investments. He's traveling all the time. And the whole catalyst was him shifting from doing it himself to that first hire. That is the origin story of his success. Chaz is a real estate agent that never thought of hiring. When she joined our program, of course, one of the steps was hiring. The thing is though, she was already a busy mom. She had a high-end hockey kid. So she's out there running to all the rinks and everything. And we looked at her and we says, how are you even doing real estate with all of the parenting and the mom work you're doing? And so this was a huge part of that shift that she had, and she hired. And once she's hired, she actually had her assistant putting in the systems. She ended up doubling her business. She's doing more business. She did it doubled twice. She's doing more business she could ever dream of. And she's with her kid at hockey, because these things are not about just making more money. The assistant's about getting your time back. And that's exactly what she got. So this is the most important thing, hiring that assistant and putting them in place. So that's number 3. So the next thing is you got to re-engage your base. One of the most important things in your business is to make sure that your base is giving you referrals and that they're nurtured. We need to get them back on track. And most of the time, there's a deal or two just sitting there just on that. So John's been in the program for a while, but when he came into the program, he was about, 12, 13 years in the business, but he had never really re-engaged his base. So that was one of the first things we did. And he did the mail out. It's a wax seal letter, super fancy, goes out, blows their minds. He got a client that called him and says, oh man, I'm glad you touched base with me. I need to buy and sell. So it turned out to be a $25,000 ROI just to re-engage his base. It's just one of the, and this is not an abnormal story. I'd say 50% of our people turn a deal just from re-engaging. Then when you add the aftercare systems, that's when it just keeps coming. We got some very creative ways to re-engage your base that's respectful, and it hits a 10 out of 10 every single time. And usually you get a deal or two right out of the gate on that one. So the next step is looking at your 60-day plan and figuring out which system is going to cause the biggest impact the fastest possible way. Whether it's a marketing system, whether it's a client experience upgrade, whether it's an operational system, or it's going to be an aftercare system, or a combination of a couple of them. That's where your customization comes in. That's the next step, is to start putting these systems in, creating the plan, and then you just start plugging in these systems. The assistant knows what to do as well by that point, and they'll start plugging in the systems as well. I remember Clayton was like maybe doing 20 deals a year. And in 1 year, he got to 83 deals. The big things for Clayton were the client experience systems just leveled up. In his small town where he was at, he became like the mayor. He was doing red carpets. He was doing birthday cookies on their doorstep. The systems blew people away so much that he started getting an amazing reputation. He's also a really great guy. The thing is, though, he couldn't actually be in front of the clients before because he was doing everything himself. So again, hiring the assistant, then the second assistant, what happened was he focused all his effort on his beautiful family. He focused all his effort on his beautiful clients. Everything else was outsourced. Client experience systems are huge, and have the assistant run the admin. That changed everything for him. The next step is you probably should book some holidays. You probably should start planning a life that you want to live. Start taking those piano lessons or start taking photography. And that's the coolest thing is you start right away, instantly starting to get time back in your life. So if it's volunteering or if it's just date nights, this is the part where we definitely talk about in the program. It's like, you got to build a life you love. We're not just building a business just to have a money machine. We're building a business so the money machine actually pays for the life you want. And the final thing is all about leadership. So leadership is more about personal growth. Like, you get in your own way. How do you lead? How do you communicate? Are you an avoider? Do you procrastinate? What's the cost of defensiveness? So it's really about the person running the business. All the systems don't matter if the person behind the business is not in a good leadership mindset, or they've got a poverty mindset. They have to have an abundant mindset. They got to be able to build people up and be a leader and an example in their business. This is the next thing. Do you deal with the relationship with fear? Do we deal with the relationship with money? Is it an energy conversation? But this will be the last thing that we put together. So that's the whole thing. So you start with set your compass, put in the fuel, hire the help, start putting the plan together to get all your systems in. Then you take a look at where you want to go on holidays, and then we need you to be a leader, because that's how it's going to be sustained, is that you're going to be able to lead a business. I'm making this video because I'm seeing so many agents trying to solve their problems in an old model. They're being told to sell more or build their brand bigger. And we know that just leads to more business, but it leads to you not being able to execute and serve, and then it breaks. That's why we wanted to show you another model where it's about putting in systems, hiring an assistant, putting a team together, and scaling your business. And the business is not there just to make massive amounts of money. The business is there to serve the life that you want. That's the different model. And that model, it's actually not too hard to build. You literally just need to shift your mindset, hire an assistant, put in the right systems, and literally enjoy your life. Hopefully this has given you something that you can go and take some action on. But if you're one of those people that don't want to take the stairs and they want to maybe jump on the elevator and just get right to the top, just book a call, click the link, and let's see if there's a fit.